Today's on the bench social distancing video is going to be about this ugly looking thing. Masada. I don't know what brand it is. NK. Says PTS. Might be a good one. I don't know. Anyway, let me give you the backstory on this. The gun was purchased, I don't know, as for parts, as working or whatever, or it just needs this or whatever. But when I got it, the big thing was that they said the hop-up was broke, the front of the gearbox was broken off, it destroyed the feed tube, jammed up the charging handle, which still doesn't work, and the actual sliding piece here doesn't move at all either. Also, the stock was broke to start with. The button on here was jammed in, glued fast. I broke everything trying to get it apart. You're either going to glue that fast and keep it solid or try to get that replaced. I'm not doing it. But anyway, let's start with what we did. We tore it all apart. Oh, and another thing. This barrel was a wobble fest. Right now, it moves very slightly. More the outer handguard moves. The barrel is tight now. So let me tell you what I did and what I'm not going to do. Oh, it's also missing a selector, fire selector off this side. So, gearbox was shot. The gears were stripped, piston was messed up, the cylinder head was messed up. It had bent the nozzle. The only thing that was still salvageable was the air nozzle. Although in retrospect, I probably should have bought a new air nozzle. But anyway. So, you're starting off with the feed ramp. You need to replace that. You need to get a new hop-up. Okay, and they only make plastic ones. There weren't no metal ones that I could find. In stock. In stock, I should say. And fix all the parts in the gearbox. Well, my friend gave me another gearbox shell that transfer the parts into, and he bought a piston head, and I didn't know about the cylinder when I told him about the parts, but I had another one that I just put in there and we called it good. It was wired to Dean's, but it was wired goofy. This is a front wired gun with the wire coming out here. But they had Dean's on this end, and they had Dean's in here where it plugged into the gearbox. So he had made like a little gap in here where you plug in Dean's here and plug in Dean's in the handguard. A bit of a pain in the ass because you could take the gearbox in and out and all that other stuff, but I'm like, it was normally a nightmare to try to get around stuff. So anyway, first thing I did, take the gearbox out as it fell apart. Cut that wire off with the Dean's, got that out of there. That was a pain in the butt. So, also, the hop-up came with a bucking and a new spring and the whole 9 yards, which were missing off of this, because I guess he had taken it apart trying to see if he could fix it, then just slammed it all together. There were some screws missing too. Just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. So I tried taking the parts out of the gearbox and putting it in the shell. I even radiused the new shell. Well, the wiring was cracked. It had a bad, I forget what the name of the gear is. Anyway, the gear by the center gear, whatever that's called. Anyway, I forget. A couple of teeth missing on that, and the other two gears were decent. So I actually had one. I put that in there. So then I said, okay, what else do you want to do here? I put it back together. Didn't work. Pain in the butt trying to get it, because this handguard, if you notice, is molded right together. So when you take the lower off, the handguard is molded to it. Oh, one more thing, forgot to mention. This bottom plate is broke. It's cracked right there. It holds together with the two screws on it, but it is cracked right there. So I gave up trying to mess with this, threw it on the side. It's been sitting there for months. I keep saying I'm going to get back to it, and I keep passing it up because it is a nightmare to take apart. Nothing holds together. You're like got 5 things trying to hold pieces together, and usually explodes every time you put it together. And when I did finally get it back together, the gearbox still didn't work. There's an electrical issue, either the switch, wire broke, something. Neither, I'm not messing with it. Anyway, jump ahead. I'm home, social distancing, social isolation, whatever you want to call it. I'm cleaning up some stuff that I have. And what I do is I go searching through some boxes I have. That was embarrassing. I had blown my nose. It was full. Anyway, so I go searching through some boxes that I have, and I find 3 gearboxes. Now, the 3 gearboxes that I find, one is an Echo 1, beautiful gearbox. I know I had put this in something and took it out because I put a quick change spring gearbox in the gun instead. So I know this gearbox was shooting like 380 when it was in the M4 that it was in. So I'm like, do I really want to use that one? No. The other gearbox I have is a quick change spring gearbox. The sector, the cutoff lever is bad on it. Because even if you put it in semi or full auto, it still shoots full auto no matter where you put it. Safe works, semi is full auto is full auto, so it's a cutoff lever. That I can fix. So I wasn't going to put a quick change spring gearbox in here. I had another JG gearbox that was out of another gun. The guy had bought the gun, it was an M16 I think it was shooting about 300, 320, something like that. And he switched it out for a massive quick change spring, 9mm bushing, quick change, micro trigger switch, gorgeous gearbox. He's using it still. So he said, yeah, you keep the gearbox, I don't want it. So I had a brand new gearbox. There was nothing wrong with it. It just was limited what it did. Excuse me. So I opened the old gearbox up, took out the air nozzle, open up this gearbox, and the compression was just, it was decent, but it was pushing, letting it through without the air nozzle on, just put my finger over the regular nozzle. So I double taped the cylinder, put it back in there. Man, we're getting good compression. I put that Masada nozzle on there and it goes, pushes right through. There's great compression without the nozzle on. With the nozzle on, ain't worth a shit. So I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna worry about it. I was gonna leave the original spring in it, and I thought, no, I'll use the one from the Masada and put that in there. Put it all together, button it all up, and it's front wired Tamiya. Put it in the lower, shooting like a champ. Didn't realize that when I put it in, I put something in backwards. And I'll tell you about that as soon as we get to it. So I started putting it all together. I put on the mag release, which is really funky. I put on the single selector switch on what I think is forward is safe, center is semi, and back has multiple bullets, which is full auto. Put it all together, put it up to semi, put the mag in, nothing. Shooting, I'm like, I take the mag out, BBs fall out, and BBs fall out, but BBs don't fall out, and I'm like, okay. But I shoot again, and it's coming out the barrel, no problem. And this barrel comes right to the end, too. This barrel comes right to the end, like right here at the end of this. So there's about a ½ inch of threads. The barrel's back here. And I know the bucking is good, and I know the hop-up is good, so I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I take the mag, and I don't use the one that came with the gun. First bat. I use one of the ones I have. Nothing. I'm trying to chrono it. Nothing. I got 2 5s in it. Finally, I take the gun, and I push the mag forward, and I hear the BBs go into the hop-up unit. So I'm like, okay, that's what the problem is. Probably needs a piece of something back here to push the mag forward, but I don't care. 320, 319, 320, 319, 320, 320, 319. I'm like, oh, fine. With 2 5s, that's perfect. That's all I want, that it's shooting and it's working. I don't know what this shot originally, but this is what it's shooting now. So I call it good, and I said, boy, I should get a rate of fire on it. I switched the selector to what is listed as full auto, which is back that way. Safe. I'm like, what the fuck? I put it all the way down to safe. Right there. Trigger pulls, full auto. Center is still semi-only, but all the way up is full auto, or is safe. So for some reason, the cam is switched. Now, on a regular M4, you've got the little cutout where the cam would go into to slide it back and forth. So that's how I put the cam in there. I put that straight up so that the selector slid on top of it. Okay, yet it's backwards on here. And you can't switch the selector around because it doesn't work that way. Okay, now the only thing I was thinking about was maybe putting it on the other side. It probably was originally on this side. And when I think about it now, it probably would be the right way if it's on the opposite side. Let's see.
Oh, that's not right. No.
Well, bad news, I switched to the other side, and the other side just spins all the way around in a circle. So I have something not quite right. I either have the gears switched or something around there. And it would be the right way on the other side. But it doesn't work on the other side, so I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Anyway, getting back to the gun. Got it all together. It's shooting. It's fine. Now all the gotchas. Okay, I fixed the barrel wobble. Got it all together. I didn't test fire it. I didn't want to. I didn't care. I told the guy that owns this, my teammate Bill, I said, sell it for parts as is. Tell him what's new in it, but tell him as for parts, not a working airsoft gun. It will shoot. I've shot stuff out of it, but as for a working airsoft gun, no. Gotchas. Starting off with, at the front, this charging handle doesn't move. It's got forced in there, bent up. I could probably take it apart and try to get it working again, but I'm not gonna. To get it to hop up, you have to slide this window back. And it's bent out, so the guy was doing this for quite a while, sliding that back. Or it got bent when it broke. I don't know which. But this will go back forward if you want. But there's a little bend on it where he must have bent it out with a screwdriver or something to be able to get at the hop up. So I left it halfway open. I already mentioned about the selectors on backwards. Not really. It's on. It should be on this side. It's missing from this side. The thing is, this side I don't have in right. It's not into the gear set right, so it's not really working. There's a spring that's supposed to go on this. It's missing. Okay? So, it ain't going to work. And the last thing is this stock that's broke. This push button here was glued fast, holding it out. So I guess the guy used to just push it in there till it clicked and left it in there, and it would pry it out when he wanted to fold it or something. I don't know. But when I tried to press the button and fold it, it snapped off. So it was already glued fast in there anyway, so I guess he had it in there solid like this. To me, the stock works otherwise. Pulls out, the cheek rest goes up and, well, the cheek rest used to go up and down. It don't now. Unless there's some, oh. No, cheek rests don't go out. But anyway, the stock works going out. So my opinion on this would be to take, and this has a tube, and there is a bolt that goes into the gearbox, so you really need to get to that. That's why it folds. But this has a tube right here, and my thought would be take and just put a whole crap load of ABS cement or whatever, or drill that out or do something to put that together so it stays there solid, or take it off and put some kind of other, put a new stock on it. I think a new stock's like $100 or $60, so it's not worth it. As a airsoft gun, these are Magpul flip-up sights, either repo or whatever, I don't know. This does say Magpul all over the damn thing, but it doesn't mean it's a Magpul. It might be. But as a functioning airsoft gun, the gearbox works. It does shoot BBs. The stock's broke. A bunch of other stuff are broke on it. So as a parts gun, it would be fantastic. Plus, this was sitting out in the weather or something because all the parts are like slightly rusted, the metal parts. So I mean, he must have had it sitting somewhere for a while before I got it. I would say if somebody wants parts for another Masada they have, like a handguard, a switch, not a stock, the lower, you know, things like that, it's great for parts. Otherwise, not getting it. Still waiting on my BBs to come in. There's a delay in my shipment for my sniper rifle. Once I get the sniper rifle BBs, we will be doing a video on that, shooting that. I'm actually going to show some shooting to 125, 150, and 200, and hopefully be able to zoom in and be able to get a good picture or a good sight picture on that. I did mention about the broken grip here on the bottom. It is barely holding the motor in. That would need to be replaced. There's just so many things that need to be replaced on here. I don't think it would be worth anything to do. You give this gun to somebody that needs parts for Masada, yeah. Otherwise, no. Gearbox is okay. The motor is a high torque motor. The barrel's okay. The bucking's okay. It's a proprietary hop-up, proprietary feed tube. Other than that, it's done. It's fixed. I told my buddy whatever he got into it, I'm giving him the gearbox. I don't care about the gearbox. I think the parts he bought were like, I don't know how much he paid for the gun originally, but he put like $60, I think $58. $58 in parts in this. So I told him, sell it for parts for $60 and make $2 on it just to get rid of it. Or sell it at $50 to dump it and get out of here. I said, you do not want to keep this gun. So that's been on the bench for today. Next on the bench is the Nightmare APS UAR version 1, or Gen 1. Having major problems, but I finally think I figured out what was going on. If I did, I'll make a video up on that. And as always, you guys enjoy the sunshine and have a good day. Wow.